Hello, hello. Welcome back to the weekly Monday Motivation Podcast, No More Excuses. I am your host, Sandi Ballard, and I appreciate you being here. And I help people realize their badassness. So, how badass are you? Do you know? Well, thanks again for listening, for sharing this podcast with your network, with your friends, colleagues, family. I really appreciate it because, again, it's the only way that it keeps growing, and it keeps me going. And thanks again to feedspot.com. If you didn't listen last week or see the post, shame on you. But this podcast, my podcast, was voted number 6 of 20 top motivational podcasts. So check it out. There's some other podcasts on there. And again, thanks for being here. And last week's podcast was about letting go of expectations and celebrating what did happen. What results came from it. What did you come up with? Some of the responses I heard, one was a big common one, sales goals. Another one I heard, registrations for an event, similar to my little struggle, leads from a trade show, and even the number of repeat customers. And I get it. So it's the end of the year. You all should be reviewing your numbers, the bottom line, and your whole year in general to see your return on investment on anything you've done. Remembering that not everything is immediate. Depending on your sales cycle, you may not see return on investment for 6 months or longer. And I have some salespeople as clients, and I understand that can be very frustrating and that uncertainty. But, so I connected with the people who responded, and I helped them in many ways, from getting them to shift their mindset and focus on what did happen. For example, not hitting the sales goals. I asked, well, where did that goal come from? Was it company supplied? Was it just comparing to last year? Or, was it his personal sales goal? And we discussed what else was going on, what he had been doing, challenges in life, personally and professionally, any distractions. And we identified a lot of distractions that attributed to the not hitting the sales goal. So the first one was huge, technology. And then changes in staff, like not necessarily turnover, but moving staff around. They expanded one department, so there was construction because they moved into the other side of the building. So they had to build out and do some more remodeling in another department. And although they were hitting many, monthly financial goals, overall, the bottom line wasn't where they wanted it to be. I helped them remember there was a little bit of investment in the remodels. And also technology. They did have to upgrade some of that. So I helped them remember that and think about, okay, how much of this has caused distractions? And we discussed how to address this with management, the huge investment into the company for the upgrades. And this person was looking at it as expenses versus an investment. The amount of time the 3 of the key people in the office were spending on all of this, it's been about 6 months. That's huge. That's obviously half a year. So getting him to look at and go, okay, yeah, I put $100,000 into the company. That's where the bottom line got hit. Now let's go forward because we've got the momentum and the progress to show for it, and we'll go into 2020 kicking ass. And then the next was registrations for an event. As you recall, last week's when I told him myself that point of letting go of expectations and focusing on what did happen. For me, it helped me see the amazing connections that were happening and the respect I earned for pulling that event off with being so new to Orange County. 2 months in, I'm already having events, and people were like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. And then when I was back in Indiana, people were like, how did you get that to happen so quickly? How did you get so many people there? And that was really cool to earn that respect and to see people actually recognize what I did. But for this one person, it was registrations at a fundraiser. Many times there are minimums for events, for the rooms, right? I know that all too well. And the point behind the registration fee is not necessarily just to cover the minimum, but to raise money for the community outreach program that they were working on. And so I helped her look at what did happen. They may not have hit the goal of registrations that they wanted, but at the event, they had many people sign up to volunteer. which is sometimes very hard. And one of the attendees made a major contribution once they got there and heard the program, and they were just amazed by it. And also said, I have many connections for this organization. So that was really cool. So thinking about your disappointment, what was it? How can you reframe it and look at the result? Because it only takes one, right? We've all heard that. The power of one. One shift of your mindset, one new client, phone call, one conversation, one connection, introduction, one change, one choice. The power of one. At the monthly event that I've talked about, the Bitches and Booze, the purpose of that is to get attendees to ask for one thing they need help with. And I've seen a lot of help happen. One tip, suggestion, one connection, and yes, referral for business. Things have happened, and it's been really cool, really amazing to see all that happen. And again, I always ask all my clients, what do they need help with? And many times that's what we're working on. However, the answer is usually right there, but my job is to help them reframe it. And yes, it's hard for me too, to see the answer right in front of your face, because you're so in the weeds. What do they say? You can't see the forest through the trees sometimes. So with only 2 weeks left in the year, it's your turn. What was that one disappointment you've had? Think about the one thing that could have helped you or could help you going forward. Maybe you just haven't asked for the help you need. Maybe you aren't sure what that one thing is. And, so if that's the case, like last week, let go of your expectations. What was the real outcome? And let's talk about it. You can always email me, sballard@growingforward.biz, or post in the comment section and say, hey, help me. And then you can simply take a sheet of paper. I do this with clients all the time, pros and cons. I have a worksheet. I can email it to you, or you can simply, on a piece of paper, write down one column on the left side, the cons. Let's go negative first. What's the negatives that probably only you saw? Like for me, 7 no-shows. What didn't happen that you hoped or wanted to happen? For me, more people. What's your false expectations? Well, I thought we needed a huge crowd to make the restaurant happy because of the bar and food orders, right? And I thought the attendees would want to have more attendees to connect with. All right. So again, on the con side, what's the negatives that you saw? What didn't happen that you hoped for? Your false expectations. So write down, just list them. And then on the second side, write down the pros. What did happen? What resulted from the event, from the year, from the trade show, overall financially? What did you do? Okay, so pros and cons of what happened, but you start with the cons, all right? Because there's usually more than pros until you really look at it and weight it out. Not weight, W-E-I-G-H-T. Weigh the pros and the cons. Because sometimes that power of one, that one connection, like that one person that made a major donation at the event, was so much more than 10 more registration fees, right? The power of one. What's the one thing that will help you not just finish the year strong, but kick off 2020 even stronger? Ask for it. Ask for the help you need. All right? Have a great week. Contact me, sballard@growingforward.biz, or message me and send your one thing, or post it here. And if you can't figure it out, I would encourage you, once again, to sign up for my 20 weeks for 2020. Yes, there is a 10-week version, but let's start kicking ass together. Have a great week. Cheers.